Hello, my name is Georges Verbena, and this is another asteroid astrology video featuring Juno, the goddess of marriage. Right, marriage. Because that says so much about what that is, not. Let me do some real talk. Let me expose what this really is about, because nobody really knows. Really. I mean, all of these asteroids seem to be a mystery for most people. But not for me. So that's why I make these videos. So what is Juno? Juno in the natal chart, real talk, shows you where you sell out, how you sell out, why you sell out, and what do you receive in return. So let's look at Juno as an archetype. You know, Juno is Hera, first of all, which was the wife of Zeus. She made herself a slave to Zeus. She committed to a relationship that lasted forever, regardless of what Zeus does. So first of all, Zeus was cheating on her. Zeus represents Jupiter, by the way. Zeus fornicated. Zeus went around, ignored her, mistreated her. To be honest, when you look at the mythology, when you go through it, it doesn't look like Zeus really gives a fuck about Juno, about Hera. He really doesn't care. So why would Juno have a relationship with him? Why be the wife of the god of Olympus? Why be the queen of the gods? Because that's the way to do it. By being his wife, she would have power. You know, in Game of Thrones, there's an example of that. Cersei. Now, Cersei is a character. She sold her whole life out to men in order to be queen. So first, as just an irrelevant figure really in the family of the Lannisters, she was the daughter of Tywin Lannister, but she didn't have any status. She didn't have any power. So then she was sold to marry this Baratheon guy, this conqueror, so there could be peace between the Lannisters and Baratheons, so they could conquer together, bind their resources. And then for 20 or 30 years, according to the story, she was the wife of this guy, which she hated. She hated him. But if she wasn't the wife of him, since he was the lord of the realm, since he was the king, if she broke up with him, she would have nothing. So she would be irrelevant. So she stayed with him until finally she had enough. And she poisoned him. He died. And then he was replaced by her son. But because her son is a narcissist, somebody else poisoned her son, and then her other son, because she had another, replaced him, and then that son committed suicide because he's also mentally ill. So then she remained alone. And only after all the men around her, her husbands and her sons, were all dead, only then did she rise to independence. She became the sole ruler in Game of Thrones of the realms, of whatever, you know, like whatever this queen was, she was a queen. And nobody told her what to do anymore. But only after all her men were dead. Now what does that tell us about Juno as an archetype? it tells us that Juno does not stop being a slave to those who give her power or resources until they're all dead, until all her commitments are destroyed, finished, okay? So Juno in the natal chart shows you bindings, which are such strong entanglements. They're so beneficial because you get gifts, right? You're the queen. Of course, you want to give the gifts. But what do you have to sacrifice in return? Because you can't be the queen without a sacrifice. So Juno is about where you sell out. And why is Juno represented by the peacock? This animal that has these feathers, like grandiose, like woo. Because that's all you have with Juno. Juno's power is about manipulation, persuasion, charm, bonding of resources and skills. So it's about status. It's about fame and wealth that you get because you are a peacock. Literally. In that area of your life. Somehow you bring that energy. But that's not only the meaning of her. She does also show us just the regular process of marriage. But in order to have Juno, you must, and I emphasize this, you must, no exceptions, you must have some kind of binding, some kind of obligation, a feeling of obligation, a feeling like, once I'm in it, I'm not getting out of this. I stay for as long as I get what I want. And I get what I want how? By being whatever my husband, my career, my partner, my children need me to be. For them to succeed so I can have a life. Through them. No exceptions, okay? If you have a Juno transit, if you have an event chart, you can make an event chart of your marriage, yeah, if you ever married. Look where Juno is in the chart. And pray that Juno is not emphasized. I do not recommend Juno to be the center of any binding because it didn't end well for Juno. She was a slave. So if you have it prominent in your own natal chart, in your birth chart, you need to ask yourself, why the heck am I a slave in that area? What am I doing? What happened to me? How do I get out of it? How do I become Cersei at the end? Not during her 30 years of being a slave, but after she poisoned the king, after everybody died. How do I become that figure that makes her own decisions and gets what she wants at the same time? So once you have an answer to that question, not only do you become the queen, like Cersei, not only do you get all the power, all the gifts, but also nobody tells you what to do. You are free. But before you get there, like all the asteroids, these are underworld objects. Like Cersei, you have to go through trials and initiations. Cersei, she lost all her children. She lost everything to have her power. So you must ask yourself, what are you willing to lose? Because that's the only way Hera ever got any power in the dream that never actualized in the myth. Because if you look at the mythology, Hera stayed forever. But Hera is an archetype. The Greeks weren't complete with their myths. Don't think that the mythology is all there is to it. Look around. You can see the archetype in movies, games, in your own life, in your own chart. It's there. It is absolutely there. So you must ask yourself, if you look at your Juno in your chart, what have I been doing to sell out in this area? Because you have factually, objectively sold out. No doubts, okay? We have to be very clear about this, because this is astrology. This is not some kind of guessing game. And it's very specific. If you have an asteroid like Juno, you were a slave. No exceptions, okay? No exceptions. I don't care how well aspected your Juno is. I don't care how many trines and sextiles you think are going to help you and save you from having to play the archetype that is within you, in your chart. If you have no aspects there, if you have literally nothing, then maybe it will not be so relevant, sure. But as long as it exists in any aspect to anything, especially if you have a conjunction, it will play out. So you must overcome the shadow of this Cersei, this Juno, this peacock. Oh no, let me just show the feathers and play along, be the prized possession of that king, of that career. Oh, let me be the boss's favorite, right? Zeus' favorite toy. That's what Juno is in her shadow, a toy. It reminds me of Eve in Greek mythology. Perhaps that is how Juno started. Eve would be abused and enslaved and pushed into submission. She would be less than. And she had no status except being the wife of Adam. She had nothing. She was a non-entity, okay, without him. Now guess who was the entity? Who was free? Was Lilith, which is the higher expression of Eve. So this is a little bit catch-22. It reminds me of Lilith a lot. I mean, even Queen Cersei is very Lilith-like as a character. So Juno shows us Lilith's shadow, in a way. It is curious, really. The wife of Jupiter. What does she have to do with Jupiter? How did she even become his wife? What did Jupiter want from her? Well, Jupiter is about indulgence. Jupiter is about grand celebrations, parties. Well, what is looking more grand than a peacock? You know how they sacrifice this Truthahn. We call it in Germany Truthahn. I don't know what it's called in English. This favorite animal, as a feast, as a celebration. I suppose Jupiter feasted on her. So who's feasting on you? Who's draining your energy? Who's feeding on you? Who's siphoning you? Where do you allow yourself to be psychically and parasitically attached in order to get some kind of gift, some kind of power, really? Juno's power, Hera's power, but her only power came from those who gave it to her. Nobody else. It's a very sad story, Hera. She's a very sad character, but she's also has this this great skill. She can get anybody on her side. So Juno also shows you success in getting that marriage. Yeah, it's not just I know I like to focus on the negative, but it's not all negative at all. I mean, come on, the wife of Zeus, she got the Jupiter. She got the Jupiter. She got, it's like winning the lottery. Yeah, winning the lottery, having a marriage so good, a career so good, you're like, this is the best. So you got to be the best. You got to be Mrs. Perfect. You got to be the goddess of marriage. Why goddess of marriage? Because you are perfect for the job. Because you are chosen. Juno is where you are chosen. Maybe the reasons why you're chosen are not all sunshine and rainbows. But it's an ideal match in terms of skill, in terms of what you can do to fulfill that marriage, even if it doesn't fulfill you. And that's where the problem is. You see, you are the queen. You are supposed to be Queen Cersei, right? Juno. But you need to kill everybody else who stands in your way. Well, you can't get there. That means the goddess of marriage, which has the nature of Libra, the nature of Venus, needs the nature of Mars, needs a little bit of Aries to balance out, to balance the scales of justice. Justice for who? For them or for me? Now, Queen Cersei makes her own justice, her own rules. So that's what you're supposed to do. You are a dark, repressed archetype of the collective. It's a dark feminine. Of course. What else would it be? So this is Juno archetype shows us where we need to step into our power to break free from parasitic entanglements and recognize, well, I can do everything that my husband is doing. Why don't I take over the business? What am I waiting for? Waiting for somebody to give me something before I can take over? That's the issue. Waiting for a decision. Right? Like Libra. Waiting before I can take charge. Until then, I let them be in charge. Let them guide me. Let them tell me what to do. Let them tell me how to live my life. Because clearly it's working for me, right? I am the queen. A slave queen. Remove the slave from the queen, and only the queen remains. And it's still a queen, right? Now we focus on the positive. It's a queen. That Juno. Like, damn, everybody has a queen inside them. Great! Right? The Queen Cersei. I mean, not everybody likes Cersei, but I do like her. So I don't care. Because it's a dark feminine. Why wouldn't you like it? It's magnetic. It's attractive. That means she gets what she wants in the end. All she has to do is take it. Poison the king. Right? Do it. Cut the cord. Strike. How? From the shadows. Don't make it too obvious. Use your charm. Manipulate. Right? Do you really think you're gonna get any power here if you don't use those powers that are rightfully yours? It's dark feminine. I'm not talking new age, positivity, love and light. Not interested. Not interested. Asteroids have nothing to do with any of that shit. This is the Earth realm. So come back to Earth. Realize what you have to do. Doesn't matter what you have to do. You just have to recognize what is it that you want to do. And what is it that you want to finish, to eliminate. Because it's poisoning you. Yeah? It's the poison in the well. We need the well. The well is wealth. We need it. But once somebody poisons it, you need to clean out the shit. Otherwise, it's going to poison you. So I hope you found this helpful about Juno. And if you did, leave a like and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. And thanks for watching. See you in the next video.